Well, what can I tell you? I enlisted when I was 17 and went to Allentown, Pennsylvania, took examination, and then they sent me to Philadelphia for more exams, and then I was enlisted in Philadelphia. I was sworn in Philadelphia. Courthouse number 2. 42? Was that Guadalcanal time?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in Guadalcanal, so it had already been,
Yeah, same year.
I'd say 42.
Yeah.
And I had a man with me that enlisted with me, John Penberth. And he didn't make it back home. He was busted on Iwo Jima. And so he was from the town across the river, but we used to sit and talk in the park after school at night. He walked a railroad trestle, a big high sucker, instead of walking around to come to school. To finish up, they only had 11 grades. And to come to 12th, they came to the school I went to. So that's how him and I got hooked up, and we decided we're going to join the Marines. And we went to this place called the Lehighton Diner in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. And we sat in there and hitchhiked a ride to Allentown and signed up. That's how we did that. Parris Island. Or you could call it hell. While I was there, I got blood poison from a damn bedbug bite. And they were in the springs of the cots where the springs, but those little, we cleaned everything, but nobody went in the springs. We didn't, We got it ready for us. And the damn things were in there, and they bit me overnight. And then I put new shoes on, because the next day was our first, we called it grab ash, but it's athletic day, We went and played instead of drilled that one Sunday. And I wore them new shoes, and that was a mistake. The leather and stuff rubbing gave me a blister, and then I got the blood poison, yeah. I spent 4 or 5 weeks, I think, in a hospital. I lost my platoon, and I got a bad start there. But it worked out, I caught up with them again later in North Carolina, yeah. We became C Company 23rd Marines. Now there's one there. I am listed in the 23rd Marines, but I did not go to combat with them because they took the 23rd and split it in half to form a new regiment. So we split 23rd into the 25th, and I got to the 25th. But I'm still on their master list. And that was explained to me on a letter that as long as you served at any time in that outfit, you'd be on that list. And I'm on it. So that would be the 23rd Marines, but I never served combat with it, just training, Then the 25th was combat, Marshall Islands. For the combat, yeah. We were at Camp Pendleton at a tent camp training, and then we left for the Marshall Islands. And that was Roy and the Moore, Eniwetok, Kwajalein, They called it the string of pearls. The islands are scattered all around, you know. So that was the next appointment, was the Marshall Islands. Then after that came Saipan. And then came Iwo, but only for not even a whole day. I busted knee from some shrapnel, no big deal, but they sent me out to the ship to get it taken care of. And then the ship left that night and was supposed to come back in the morning and drop us off, but it kept going. They changed their mind. So then I went on. I was at Army Hospital, Johnson Island, on the way back, you know, and then I ended up at Pearl Harbor. Well, we had, let's see. Well, we landed, and then it's kind of wild, because you don't know who's who. So you just take care of your butt for a while, and then we got together, and we had a place called the 01 line. And in this case, it happened to be a small, narrow gauge railway. And we were supposed to, everybody, make it that far the first day. Just so we could stay together, you know. That was our orders. Well, that's what we did. And then, 20 days went by, and we got, we were going to push down the mountain into a town called Garapan. And we're heading down. That's when I got into cane field by myself. And that guy there didn't like me very well. They had two those Nambu slugs. They're little, like a 22, but they're 25. They had those shoulder-fired machine guns with those. It was those that hit me, yeah. I had 2 months in the hospital at Pearl, and then they sent me back to duty. Everything was fine. I never wore glasses until just the last couple of weeks here.
Wow.
I didn't need them, you know. Oh, we were all carrying machine gun ammunition, even though we weren't machine gunners, up to that 01 line. So we'd have ammunition for the next day, and then, you know, that we wouldn't run out. And the handle broke on the box. So I stopped and I cut a piece of my dungaree cuff and to knot it and put it in the handle, you know. And that's when the guy picked me up out there in the field by myself. So I'm diving for a ditch, a drainage ditch, and I stopped cold, just like I hit a wall. That was the shot, the shock of the shot, you know. Because it's high-speed stuff, but it's not heavy. If it would have been heavy, I'd have been splattered.
Where did it hit you? Where?
Well, above here, and on this side, it crushed my helmet in, you know. So we never did find that bullet. It moved around somewhere, we lost it. They kept looking for it, you know, while I was in the hospital 2 months. And they were still wondering about it, you know. But it was nothing, no. That's just something that somebody made a mistake on and wrote it down. You know how they do, you know. Does that jive up with what I told you? Yeah, okay. They think that I don't know my own mind.
The helmet.
He's the one that's nuts, not me.
The helmet stuck on you though, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it has a seam, and the thing just closed up. It actually lapped over. I'd never seen that before. And well, I mean, you don't see many helmets not in that shape, you know, but that was kind of weird, yeah, you know. So I couldn't really put it on, but I hung it there so I'd have some protection, you know, from it. Oh yeah, that guy was one of the Marines from the Duck Company, which is, they drive from the water right up on land in them. I knew the sergeant in charge of there, so I'm looking up that ditch, and there's a guy up there in a kneeling position, and he's drawing a bead on me. And I knew he was one of the Marines, you know. And he just kept it there, and I waved, and, you know, he just kept it. So I finally yelled, "Ducky," which was the sergeant's name. And he heard it. Then he walked over and he kicked that rifle out of his hands. Yeah, he was, you know, he was just a trigger-happy guy, you know, and scared to death probably, you know. So that was another adventure I didn't even think of till you mentioned it. One dogfight I saw on a Saipan landing. One Jap ship and one American. I didn't see any more. And I heard about this big air battle later. And it wondered me. So I checked it with a newspaper. I got a newspaper every week. And when I got my papers, I read it, and that's all they reported. One, it was true. But there was a big air battle somewhere around Saipan. But I never saw it. It was just that part, you know. I just read about that air battle, the big one. If the sea was rough, it was kind of wet. But if it wasn't, it was just an ordinary boat ride, and it stank like hell from the diesel. The fumes from the diesel, it smelled. That about right. Been a takings, yeah. Mostly I was in tractors. When I was hauled into the landings, I would be the tractors that could drive up on land. That was the way we went in. That's the way we went. And the ramp would drop, or you'd jump over the side. It depended which boat, you know. Yeah. And that was that made you piss in your pants. You can print that.
Yeah. Did you
It was. I actually laid down on the beach and peed because you jump out of the boat and you're scared to death, and you get into water that's really cold, and you know, and you're in the hot sun, and you just had to pee, you know. But being scared, you had to pee more. Yeah, I would like you to put it in about number one people in the Navy would be their corpsmen. They wore both uniforms, Marine and Navy. And they went out in the field with us. And we're hiding our heads, and they're sitting up, working on us, you know. That takes a lot of guts. And it takes know-how. And I think they were just about the best thing going in the Navy, you know, really. There's the naval corpsmen, you know. Medics, they call them in the Army, yeah.
Did they rescue you when you got hit? Did the corpsman?
Yeah, well, they put a bandage on me. That wasn't much they could do. They just wiped it clean and put some sulfur powder on it, a big bandage, and, you know, the sulfur powder stopped infection, so they said. In fact, I think that's the first time sulfur powder was used since World War I in that operation. We had them in a little pack that hung on your belt. And you open it up and you could get that powder and put it on the wounds, you know. That was a good help.
Tell about when you could see the Jap trucks down there at Garapan.
Oh yeah. Well, that was what was a 37 millimeter?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a small tank gun, and the regimental troops pulled them. You know, they had them with them, and when we got the Japs were down there along Garapan, and we were getting ready to push, and they would light a cigarette down in the town, and we could see it, and you could shoot them. Yeah, and the 37 millimeters were so accurate they'd go right in the windshield. Yeah, they were really that was a. Nobody, very few people heard about those, you know, because it was always the big guys, the 105s and 155s, you know, and 75s, but never the 37. You never heard of it, yeah. But it was a little anti-tank gun, you know. They were so accurate. It was amazing. Yeah.
How many Jap trucks did you see get hit?
Well, only two, but one of our tanks hit one of them. And then by mistake, that was a nasty situation. That some of the Marines and their lieutenant stole a Jap truck. Well, they didn't steal it, it was sitting there. So they figured they'd haul their ammunition in that from the beach up. And then on the way down across this area, they got a shot in the windshield. And it was an American Army tank that did the shooting. So that Marine lieutenant's down there waving his damn .45 Colt, and he's turning purple, just chewing that guy out. And then he walked away, you know. Yeah, that was but the ones that the 37 hit, how they hit were they pleased? I don't know how many, George. Because they could shoot. We were up there up the mountain pretty safe. But going down, once you got down lower, then it was different. And then they didn't have them with them. Then they were on their feet, you know. Yeah. I forgot about all them damn battles. I consider them as individual battles.
You were trained as a BAR man, and then you got to be an instructor.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's written down on one of my discharge papers, but I don't know where it is. You read it, so you know it's. Military specialist or something. And I was a BAR instructor, you know. Fact is, I have the book. He enjoyed that. Every damn part's in there pictured and tells you how to do it, you know, take it apart and clean it. So I have that book, yeah.
You were an instructor at Camp Pendleton.
Well, I would have been, but we didn't. None of the BAR men ever came, and we didn't have it. Not really.
Oh, I see.
I just was there, you know. And back east, I did a lot of work with them. On rainy days or real bad weather days, they'd have what they call a round robin. You get an hour of this and an hour of that. You get map reading, you get compass reading, and of course the BAR school and, you know, all that. That was called a round robin.
How many days were you after D-Day when you landed? How many days before you got hit?
20. Well, we landed on the 15th. I got hit on the 4th of July. Is that 20?
Yeah, that's just about 20 days.
Yeah.
So that was the 20th day that we were fighting Iwo?
In Saipan.
Oh, in Saipan.
Yeah. Well, I was only one day at Iwo.
Right.
I wasn't there the whole day even. Yeah.
But then, what was your main job on Saipan?
Just being an infantryman.
But didn't you, weren't you a runner between?
Yeah, when we needed it, yeah. And Emmerich, he didn't need, well, he's a second lieutenant. Nobody bothered with him, you know. They'd send him a message. His code name was Benny. Yeah, that was a code that went on the message, you know. He signed him as Benny, yeah. See, we had our little secrets. What was that poem? Oh, it was nasty. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. They crawl all over your chin and your mouth. They invite their friends, those bugs of blue. They'll look like hell when they get through. That's an ode to the dead Marine.
Yeah.
I think one of the worst things to see is a human being being eaten by crabs. And he had the bodies floating in the water overnight sometimes, and then the ocean would bring them in, you know. And the crabs are eating at them, you know. That's nasty. I didn't sit and cry about it, but I didn't feel good about it either, you know. 8 days I took off from the hospital in California. Well, they weren't going to let me go. I just got back from Iwo, and everybody else is going, but the guys from Iwo had to stay there and drink this damn red liquid. They said it was to calm you down, and I didn't believe them. So I walked up to the nurse. I told her, I'm going to leave now. And you better not. I did. I left. I went gone. And it was all covered. I guess Iwo Jima got a little special treatment, I think, because when I got to the hospital, when I got back after the 8 days, I talked to that nurse. And she looked on it and she said, well, you have to take the A train and go across the bridge at Oakland to San Leandro, and there's a hospital up on a hill there. So I did it, and they had a bed for me, my name on it. I don't know, I have no idea. Unless I got drunk and told them I was coming, I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, it was overlooked. It's not on my record, you know. Yeah. I used to wonder about this Major King Moss, his name was. He signed a discharge paper from Mare Island. And he had this silly grin when he signed my paper. I just wondered if he was in on that.
Oh.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, they treated us pretty good. Oh, and I had a dance. They had a big dance at a couple of them up at the top of the Mark, it's called, St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. And they stayed there, these women Marines. And they were having a dance. And I don't know how I got involved, but I did. I had a wonderful time. I kept going back for more. Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah. And they stayed there at that hotel. That was their quarters. Yeah. I guess they were office workers. I don't know. Staff Sergeant Charlotte Singleton was her name.
And that's where you met her.
Yeah, yeah. That's the first one I met because we didn't have them when I went overseas. There were no women Marines. But then when the time I got back, they had them, you know.